So today I'm going to share some thoughts on an idea I don't know if a lot of us have put a lot of thought into, and that's the question of like what is money, right? Have you ever taken any time to really think about it? I've asked this question to quite a few of family and friends because I had the question posed to me in a form of another podcast that I was listening to, and it just begged the question of what is money. And so, many of us, at least that my first response was, well, money is, I don't know, currency. It's dollar bills, it's paper, like, things like that. And all those things are true, right? But they were trying to get us to dig a little bit deeper and say, like, yeah, but why do we even have this money? Where did it come from? Where did it kind of originate from? Like this idea of money, it's a man-made thing. It's like it's not like it's uh, you know, food or dirt or trees or something like that. Like somebody had to create this, thing in order for it to come into our use. And so diving right in, um, it was actually a podcast with Michael Saylor. He owns a company called MicroStrategy. He's one of those original .com guys, and also Robert Breedlove. And Michael Saylor, he defined money as this. He said money is like a tokenized form of energy, right? And so you'll be able to understand this really quickly. Think about when you go to work or your business or whatever it is that you do. We put in some time, some energy, some efforts. We do something for someone. A job is probably the easiest way we can categorize this. You put in 40 hours in a week, and then at the end of that week, they hand you this paycheck or they hand you this direct deposit or whatever, but it's still, at the end of the day, representing money, right? And so it's like money is a more modern solution to bartering. There was a time where money didn't exist, and all we did was barter. And so you had, Jim over there, and his job was to like, I don't know, was a farmer, and he was the corn guy. And then you had Bob over there, and he was a shoemaker, maybe for horses and things. And then you had somebody else, and they were butchers. And you had somebody else, and they were carpenters, and all these different things. And Bob would do some work as a carpenter for Jim in exchange for some meat, and somebody else would exchange for some corn and so forth, right? So it was a form of bartering. Problem with that is it worked well, but it did have some inefficiencies in it, right? So imagine that. Think about somebody that has seasonal work. I live here in the Northeast, and so it gets really cold. And when it gets really cold, there's no apples being grown, And so what's supposed to happen during that time is the apple grower is supposed to not be able to eat, supposed to not be able to trade, and so forth. And so it created inefficiencies, if you will. And so money came in as a form of tokenizing those energy and efforts and things that went into it. It was almost like an IOU of sort of saying like, hey, look, this money represents that some time, energy, and efforts and things were done and then could be used at a later time, right? And it's a good system. Um, but what I think is important for us to really take time and think about is wait a minute. So money is a tokenized form of energy. So it's energy that's somehow encapsulated, right? And so when we receive our money, there's three things generally that we do with that money. The first thing is, and we all do this, which is we spend it on the things that we need. Things that we absolutely need, not wants, but just our needs. So food, shelter, transportation. Needs are subjective, right? So some people say like, look, I gotta, have a fancy shirt. Like that's a need. It's not a want. So again, it's subjective, whatever it is. But we have our basic needs, right? And then number two and number three is where it's going to get, I guess, a little bit dicey about what we do. Some people never even make it to three. So number two is we spend it on wants, right? And so, like, we don't have to go on vacation, right? Or we don't have to have a fancy car, or we don't have to have even the most modern car. Forget fancy. You can get an older used car and different things like that. You don't have to have name brand items. You don't have to have, a new, cell phone upgrade when a new cell phone comes out. And like, look, no judgment against any of those things. We all do some of those. Hopefully, maybe not all of those, unless you can really afford it. But we all do some of those, right? Nothing wrong with that. So the two things that we've covered so far is we can spend it on our needs. Second thing, we spend it on our wants. But then the third thing, and this is where I really kind of want us to spend a bulk of our time thinking about today, is that we can invest that money, right? And so we've all heard of investing. We all, hopefully have maybe dabbled in it in some way, some fashion, some form. But I want us to go back to that original definition of, well, what is money? And so it's like, well, money is just tokenized energy, right? And so the question becomes, well, why do they pay you to go to work every day, right? Why do they pay you to come to your job? It's like, well, they need your energy. They need your energy and your efforts to complete a certain particular task. And so you physically have to get up, go to work, put in the time, put in the energy, put in the efforts, and then in exchange, they will say, hey, look, you know what? We will, what's the word I'm looking for? We will compensate you for these efforts that you just put in, right? However, if money is energy, but then when I exert work, whatever it is that you do, you work at Amazon, you work in front of a computer, you install roofs, whatever. If money is also energy, then in other words, one of two people can get up on any given day to go to work, or let's say one of two things can get up every day and go to work. Either you can go to work and you're exerting your energy, or because money is energy, you can also send your money to go to work and exert energy and bring more back home. Does that make sense? So I like to kind of give a little bit of context. I like to use this illustration. So think of money as like a robot, right? So just your own personal robot. And let's say that you have the opportunity to purchase a robot, right? And each robot that you purchase can bring you back $5 a day. So let's say you work and that you make $100 a day, but you're able to purchase this robot. Let's say the robot costs, I don't know, $50. You pay $50 for it, and this $50 robot can bring you back $5 a day. And it's like, well, $5 is not a whole lot of money. $5 is not going to pay all your bills. However, the beauty of that robot, when you do purchase it, is that it's going to just continue to bring that $5 back, whether you go to work or not. And so you say, okay, Stephen, that's nice, but it's still only $5. I still need that same $100 per day in order to be able to live. Absolutely. But what's stopping you from just buying one robot? What if you were able to buy two robots or three robots? Eventually, getting up to 20 robots, where 20 robots, $5 a day, can take over your income and your needs. And so I talked about number two and number three. Number two being, what do we do with our money? We either spend it on our wants, and then number three being investing it. Some of us never make it to number three, where we invest that money. And so consequently, the only one that's going to work is our physical bodies. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think we should put in that work, right? But, retirement comes, needing additional money comes, lifestyle changes. Sometimes people have babies and they need more time off of work. Sometimes you can get sick. All sorts of things can happen whereby you don't want to then be in a position where the only way that you can earn a living is through your own personal efforts. And so that's why the wealthy, on the other hand, and we're not talking about like people who inherited wealth, right? There's a great book out by believe his name is Thomas Stanley, called The Millionaire Next Door. Excellent book, amazing book, highly recommend it. And he talks about just everyday mom and pop teachers, plumbers, blue collar workers, amassing a net worth of over $1 million doing basic general type of jobs, not high paying IT, doctors, lawyers, all the things, but your basic work. But how do they become that? By way of not spending as much money on their wants, sacrificing a little bit of time on their wants, and taking that money and investing it. And that's the key to wealth, is saying, hey, look, you don't have to be the only person going to work, right? Your money can go to work for you as well, to a point in the future where you can just send your money to work. And that's what we call financial freedom, when you don't actually have to work at all and your money's the one going to work. Because again, energy has to be exerted some way, somehow. It just doesn't necessarily have to be your energy. But if you spend all your energy at Walmart, and Target, and American Airlines, and Hilton, and restaurants, and all the things, you never had that time to purchase your robots, if you will, your investments, your robots, to be able to go out and go to work for you. So hope this encouraged you. You know what they say, like, subscribe, all the things. I have a few more thoughts that I'll be sharing on this, and so look forward to seeing you on the next one.